Here's the winning percentage of best regular season win percentage since the merger. It's Mahomes, Brady, Lamar right there, number 3. But when you look at the playoffs,
that's our old Jimmy G graphic.
That's right.
Keep going down, and Jimmy G would be on there pretty quickly.
Everyone's got a lot of
Where's
playoff
Purdy?
wins.
He hadn't started enough games yet.
Minimum 25 starts.
Well, Lamar's 2-4, as Stink mentioned, but Brady's 35-13, and Staubach was 11-6. So, Brew, what's your reaction to this?
Well, you said he's getting hammered on social media. It's those last 3 words that you keep him from getting hammered. Come playoff time. Because when I first saw Lamar as mediocre from Schlager, I'm thinking, what? That's crazy. But when he says come playoff time, and you guys know how much I love Lamar.
Yeah.
He's right, though. Stink is right. Come playoff time, and I got a graphic here that shows you got the winning percentage you showed there, but 33% in the postseason. Everything goes down. Completion percentage, touchdown percentage, interception percentage goes up, but that's worse. Yeah. And the passer rating drops big time. And look, the only thing I don't think we showed this part, but Stink said, he wets the bed or something to that effect in the playoffs.
Stink
That's what I disagree. Yeah, I disagree with that part. I don't think it's wetting the bed or the stage is too big. I think he has not been, especially earlier in his career, a great passer, and that has hurt him in the playoffs. Now, if you want to say last year he wet the bed, I think that would be fair because I thought he got away from what he really is, which is, he had opportunities that he left on the board. He could have ran against the Chiefs, and he didn't. This is fair, though, because Peyton Manning had to go through this, too. And when you're so great in the regular season, until he wins a Super Bowl, that's it. Until he wins a Super Bowl, this criticism is going to be leveled at him.
Yeah, so it's worse, though, than Peyton's thing. Peyton, 15 trips to the playoffs, 3 times. The fewest points they scored that season were in the playoff game, 3 out of 15. For Rodgers, it's never happened. Josh, it's happened 1 in 5. Mahomes, it's happened 1 in 6, the Super Bowl. Dak, who we talk about a lot, playoff struggles 0 times in his 5 career trips to the playoffs.
Oh, you get some garbage points there.
That's fine, but 0.
Yeah.
For Lamar, it's every single year it's happened.
Hold on, say it again.
Every single year, the Ravens' fewest points that season are in their playoff loss. That's 4 for 4. This year, to be fair, it was tied for the fewest, but it was still, in his 4 career playoff losses, they averaged 10.5 points per game. If you go through his game log every single year and say, what was his worst or second worst game of the year, every single year, one of them is the playoff game. It is jarring. As far as how often do the Ravens play a game where they just never get going in the regular season versus the playoffs, we can show you this list. Twice in 77 career regular season games, they've never held a lead. 4 of his 6 career playoff games, they've never held a lead. That's all 4 losses. I'm going to do a blind reveal, double blind if we can. One of them, by the way, is Lamar. But we'll show you 2 quarterbacks, and I did total yards because running is obviously a big part of it.
I'm guessing that's Dak.
That is Dak. And Dak's whole thing is the lack of playoff performances. Lamar would kill for those playoff numbers. And so I said it during the year last year, and people didn't like it. I will say it again. There is an element of Rockets James Harden for Lamar until further notice.
But part of the Rockets James Harden, twofold. One was maybe he shrinks on the bigger stage. One was that style of play doesn't work in the playoffs.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that Lamar and the Ravens looked at that, and I felt that way as well. That style of play, we haven't seen it yet win the Super Bowl, right? That type of heavy running quarterback. And I think the Ravens looked at that and said, that's why we're changing the offense, which most people thought was wise. And it worked during the regular season. But then that's why Lamar was so hesitant to run in the AFC title game. And if he had gotten back to that running, they might have won.
But we have seen, though, we did see Jalen Hurts just make a Super Bowl.
Yeah. But he threw for 300+ yards in that Super Bowl.
He did in the Super Bowl, but we have seen young Russell Wilson didn't run at this level, obviously, but he was not a high-flying passing quarterback. They made back-to-back Super Bowls. It's less to me about the style and more about, until further notice, this is the book on Lamar.
So you think he chokes?
I think obviously. I don't look at it as like a character indictment. With Harden, it almost feels like it's like a character indictment.
Well,
with
when
him.
you're choking, if you do that time and time again,
yeah, but maybe you care too much. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too. I don't know what it is. But yes, I don't think it's happenstance. I don't think something can happen every single year and be a coincidence.
You don't think I think their offense has been predictable. And teams have more time to focus on that. Obviously, they're better teams in the playoffs, and they've been able to shut them down. Again, I do think it's fair to say last year he wet the bed, if that's what you want to call it. But I don't think generally he's been choking.
Well,
I just think teams have
last year, I guess,
solved their offense.
To me, it's weird, though, because last year was his 6th year in the league. He makes the playoffs his first 3 years. The next 2 years, he's injured for the playoffs. And then last year, he has the good playoff game against Houston and then the game against the Chiefs. It's a weird spot because the other thing you could chalk up the first few appearances is a really young player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's a different spot. Not having the sample size of years 4 and 5 because he got hurt hurts it. But that's also why that Chiefs game is really hard to get out of your head. And I understand folks bring up fairly, I get it, the Zay Flowers fumble and the team losing its mind, those things. But the other thing that also happened is with 6 minutes left in that game, when it was 10 points, you weren't dead, but you weren't in great shape. Lamar just threw into triple coverage for no reason to basically end the game. Like he fumbled early and then that late. That wasn't Zay. That wasn't his teammates losing their mind. That was, to me, the league MVP making one of the worst decisions any quarterback made in the league all year. Like, that just happened.
All right, take a look at Super Bowl odds. Super Bowl rematch tied at number 1. Then it's the Ravens, then the Lions, Cincy, and Philadelphia. Brewer, the Ravens over, under, are perfectly rated here.
Perfectly. The Chiefs, obviously Super Bowl champs, and look better on paper. There's no question about that. The Niners are in the other conference, so they have presumably an easier road. And I think the Ravens are the second best team in the AFC. They have the Bengals number. We've talked about different teams having, somebody's number. Lamar is 4-1 against Joe Burrow. They've won 8 of their last 9 against Cincinnati. And I talked about that last year, and that's why I like the Ravens better than the Bengals. So I like what the Ravens have done this offseason. I know they lost some defensive players, including the coordinator, but their culture, their identity is great defense. So I think they're going to be fine there. Yep. And then with Derrick Henry, they're going to clearly – I'm not shying away from Derrick Henry. They're going to have the best running game by far in the NFL with Lamar and Derrick Henry. And I think that he's going to have a better command even of the offense this year than he did last year, having been in it another season. So I think Lamar's going to have another good year, and I think they're going to have a great year with the run game.
Okay. So, I think they're way overrated. I think just in the AFC, I think obviously take Kansas City out of it, they are ahead of them. I think Cincinnati and Houston have a better chance of making the Super Bowl. As far as easier path depending the division, I think that you could make the case for Buffalo. And I obviously, I think you could, absolutely. And while I don't think Josh Allen's playoff numbers are inflated by getting to play the JV Pats in that one game, and then a game he lost. Nobody can say he plays his worst football in the postseason. And so I think that the Ravens, for me, would be like 5th or 6th in the AFC. Wow. This is to win the Super Bowl. This isn't to have the best regular season. It is all that this is do we think this team can win 3 or 4 consecutive playoff games? And because of everything we've said in the last 10 minutes, I have a really hard time buying that they can.
That's fair.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.